एकम् अक्षरं हृदि निरन्तरं भासते स्वयं लिख्यते कथम्। हृदयकुहरमध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रम् यहम् इति साक्षात् आत्मरूपेण भाति। हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वता मज्जता पवनचलनरोधा आत्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम्। देहं मृण्मय जडात्मकम् अहं बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्त्यतो नाहं तत्तत भावशुक्तिसमये सिद्धात्मसद्भावतः। सोऽहं भावयुतः कुतो वरतिय दृष्टात्मनिष्ठात्मनो सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचलशिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयं। सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचलशिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयं। Namo Ramana. In this, the Thursday Satsang from Ramanacentre Center for Learning, it has been our practice to meditate on two verses selected for us from Guru Vachika Kovai. The selection is randomly done by Revatima. Each verse is read and the reading is followed by a short meditation on its meaning, and that is followed by the practice of self-enquiry for about 15 minutes. After these two segments of reading the verse, meditating on its meaning, and practice of Atma Vicharam are completed, there will be summing up remarks by Shri Venkatesh Deshpande ji, and that will be followed by the offering of Sri Ramana Stotram. The chanting will be online by Vaibhavji and Pratnama, and the floral offerings shall be by Shri Manjunath ji from right here. While the puja is going on, one can always inquire who is seeing or who is listening, and that way the self-enquiry is continued. We begin with the first verse selected for us today, verse number 267. Verse number 267, we find in the first segment, investigation into truth. The second is the meditation on the truth, and the third is the anubhava or experience of the truth. Excuse me. This verse 267, we find in the subsegment, researching into the Guru. Researching into the Guru. This consciousness, that is one's true nature, exists and shines motionless in the heart, free from the pairs of opposites. This consciousness, that is one's true nature, exists and shines motionless in the heart, free from the pairs of opposites. It, this true nature, is Mauna, the culmination of jnana that is not known by the ego-ridden mind, which is dull, tamasic, and demonic, rajasic in nature. This consciousness, we are researching into the Guru. The Guru is the consciousness, that is one's true nature. And such Guru exists and shines motionless in the heart, free from the pairs of opposites. It, this true nature, is Mauna, the culmination of jnana that is not known by the ego-ridden mind, which is dull, tamasic, and demonic, rajasic in nature. So, who is the Guru? Is he the physical form that is visible to you through the mortal eyes? Obviously, the mortal eyes cannot behold anything immortal. Therefore, the Guru is definitely not the mortal form sitting in front of you. Who is the Guru? The Guru is the consciousness that exists and shines. That is Sat Chit. What is the nature of the Guru? The nature of the Guru is consciousness that is ever present, that exists, and it is self-luminous. It shines by itself. It is not lit up by another consciousness. Guru is a consciousness that is self-luminous. It shines in the heart, free of the pairs of opposites. What are the pairs of opposites? Like and dislike, good and bad, cause and effect, knowledge and ignorance. All these are pairs of opposites. They are once the mind is divided into these dualities. That's why in verse number 9 of Ulladu Narpadu, Bhagavan would say that all the dualities and triads arise holding on to one. Holding on to one. If you inquire, what is that one? Who is that one? Then all the dualities and triads drop away. See, that one for whom the dualities exist, he is ever existent or she is ever existent. The he and she are mere references. They are not real in the consciousness. The consciousness that beholds the dualities is ever existent. Endrum ondru patri. So one is not to explore whether the world is good or whether the world is bad, or whether the world is knowledge or whether the world is ignorance. What we should inquire? For whom? That whom is always present. But unfortunately, the consciousness is moving away from the whom into the duality of good and bad, doesn't stop there, goes through the senses and superimposes that good and bad in the inert world. The world does not have good and bad. The sensory world is made merely of atoms, gathering of atoms in various forms. There is no sense of good and bad in that. But the consciousness, trapping itself in the good and bad, superimposes that onto the world. Whereas, what is the nature of the Guru? The nature of the Guru is not the world or the dualities into which the mind splits itself. But for whom is this duality? For me. So the consciousness which was going away from me, away from the center, should be drawn back and put on the center. This center is not merely the center of the one who started the enquiry, center of Nandakumar. It is the center of the entire creation, because the turning inward from all dualities makes us turn inward from the whole of creation. So the enquiry is not merely by an individual, the enquiry is by the whole of creation as to who am I. And when the center is removed, then the center is removed for the entire creation. The entire creation falls away to reveal the ever-present Guru. The ever-present Guru, who is the existence consciousness. This existence consciousness is Mauna, the culmination of Jnana. And that Jnana can never be known by the ego-ridden mind. The ego-ridden mind means the mind is filled with the I am the body thought. The I am the body can be tamasic, holding on to the gross body, or it can be rajasic, holding on to the subtle body. So it can be tamasic, holding on to the gross body, or it can be rajasic or demonic, holding on to the subtle body. Both ways, it misses the Guru, either holding on to the physical body or holding on to the mind. It doesn't pay attention to its own ever-present nature. So the ego-ridden mind can never have jnana. Ego-ridden mind, being limited, can only do the limited acts. It can never enter the area of the limitless jnana, which can be approached only through self-enquiry, only through the act of turning that attention inward, putting it on that ego, so that that ego vanishes and the ever-present jnana, the existence consciousness, reveals itself. Let's sit in Atma Vicharam for the next 15 minutes. Ujjwalji, we can trouble you for the time. Thank you. Namo Ramana. We continue the satsang by taking up the second verse selected for us, 949. We find this in the segment Experience of the Truth. The subsegment is having done all that needs to be done. Having done all that needs to be done. 949. For those who have attained the state transcending bliss, where the ego is no more, there is no other experience which is worthy of attainment and which is superior to that self-experience. For those who have attained the state transcending bliss, where the ego is no more, there is no other experience which is worthy of attainment and which is superior to that self-experience. Because there is no further activity that they have to undertake, they alone are the ones who have attained the ultimate state of liberation, having completed without omitting anything all that needs to be done by those who have been born as human beings. So when we are born as human beings, the responsibility that plagues us right through is, have we done all that needs to be done? Have we completed all our responsibilities in terms of duties and actions? Who is the one who can be said to have done all that needs to be done? The one who has attained the state transcending bliss. To experience bliss also, there must be someone. So the experience of Ananda, the blank, or the Ananda Swarupa, is still a sheath, still a persona is possible there, the one who is enjoying that bliss. Whereas in self-realization, in the complete effacement of the ego, even that bliss sheath is transcended. The feeling of Ananda, the feeling of healing, any psychological pain, which is actually real pain. The pain that we have in the body is not real pain. What we make out of it, that this should not have happened to me, what an unlucky person I am, that this situation has come to me, that is the real pain that continues, that is the suffering. And this bliss sheath that is there inside in self-enquiry, when we go to the bliss sheath, we find all psychological pains, all pains of Jiva Bhava completely healed. The healing is not done by another outside. The healing is not done by nice words. The healing is done by going to that self-attention, which is unconditional love. The I attending to itself, but with Ananda, with the bliss sheath, is unconditional love. That is the real healing. Once you go there, you can feel all the karmas, all the pain of karmas being completely healed by that. But one should not remain there experiencing that bliss. One should gently inquire, for whom is this bliss? Then the peace or shanti alone remains, where the ego, the one who enjoys the healing. Now, who is hurt and who needs healing? Only if you are there as an ego, you can get hurt. in the doings, and you will need the healing of the self-attention. But when the ego is completely effaced, there is no one to get hurt, therefore no need for the sheath of bliss. So for those who have attained the state transcending bliss, where the ego is no more, there is no other experience which is worthy of attainment and which is superior to that self-experience. There only the I is there, without even the Ananda Swarupa. The I is Ananda. When you gently touch the I, it is Ananda. It is healing all the injuries. But then one should not remain there enjoying that bliss. One should ask, who is the one enjoying the bliss? The bliss vanishes and the peace of I alone is there. There, the self alone is there. There is no other. When there is no other, krityamasti kim swastitim yataha. What else is left to do? All that needs to be done is completed in this self-experience. Self-experience means only that self is there, only that unconditional consciousness is there, which is not even the healing energy. There is no persona left to be hurt or healed. Therefore, the necessity of the healing sheath is completely filled with the self as love. The self as love is transcended in the self as consciousness, and there the persona, the individuality, is also completely effaced. Krityamasti kim. What more is left for such a one to do? All that needs to be done, the purpose of having taken birth as this individual, the purpose of having been born to a mother who has blessed us with this kind of life, where we have come across the best teaching possible. The best way to thank that mother is to go to this silence, where the mother as a separate individual, you as a separate individual, all vanish, all individualities vanish beyond birth and death. And that self-luminous self, where even the Ananda, which heals from all psychological hurt, is transcended and only peace is there. That's why it is said, having known the self, what else is there to know? What else is there to do? Whatever is to be done has been done. Whatever has to be known is known in this self-luminous self. That's where we go with effort. We are going with effort in Atma-Vicharam. But as the vasanas, as the conditionalities which hurt the individual are all vanished, then we get to the bliss sheath. We enjoy the bliss. Even when we are participating in exchange, in satsang, there may be hurts. The hurts is for the individual. The hurts are removed as you go towards the self through the bliss sheath. But the bliss sheath also should not be rested in. One should inquire, who is the one who is enjoying this bliss? Then the pure awareness of the self is there. There, all that needs to be done has been completed. Let's sit in Atma Ucharam for the next 15 minutes. Ujwalji will trouble you again. Thank you.
नमो भगवते श्रीरमणाय।
Namo Ramana. May I request Venkatesh ji to give us the summing up remarks. Namo Ramana, sir.
Namo Ramana. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jnanamulam Guru Mukti Pujamulam Guru Padam Mantramulam Gururvakyam Mokshamulam Guru Mokshamulam Guru. All of us know about the story of the 10 men who were crossing a river. The beautiful lot of lessons in that 10 men story. So these 10 men were crossing the river, and when they crossed the river, they said, let us, when they reach at the other side of the river, they said, let's count and find out how many of us actually made it. So what they did, one person started counting and said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, he said, one man is missing. So this continued. So many of them started counting and they said, oh, one man is missing. So what happened? Everybody started weeping. Everybody said, oh, there's one fellow who has got drowned. He couldn't make it across the river. I don't know who the person is. So they were in deep sorrow. So suddenly there was a wise man who was going by and asked, "Hey, why are you all of you weeping?" He says, we were 10 on the other side of the bank of the river, but when we crossed, we were now only 9. So what happened? He says, one fellow has actually drowned. So this wise man, he actually looked around and he found actually there were all 10 were there. So then what he said, okay, I know what the problem is. So he took a, he took a little stick and he gave a little knock on each of their on each of their heads and said, "Count now." So when he 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh my God! So all the 10 are here only. Yes. So what happened? So the wise man said, "You are forgetting yourself. You are forgetting yourself because of the ego. You're counting everything else, but you're forgetting yourself." Now look at that person who experiences that when he says, "You are the 10th man." What happens to that to the 10th man? He he really he thinks about it and says, "Oh, I always existed." He'll say, "Oh, I was always there." That is the Sat part. But I was not conscious about myself. I was not conscious about the existence of my existence. I was not conscious, because of which I was not in Ananda. So suddenly somebody came and tapped me on my head and said, "Hey, you are the 10th man." Then what happened to the 10th man? He says, "Oh, I always existed." And then what happened? I was only not conscious about my existence. So suddenly he becomes conscious about his existence and experiences Ananda. What is this Ananda that he experiences? He experiences an Ananda of Mauna. At that moment, when that wise man knocks him on the head and says, "You are the 10th man," what happens? He experiences Mauna. Because why? The searching has stopped. The outwardness, the Bahirmukha aspect has stopped. What now he's realized? Oh, it is actually I am that person. I am that existence, consciousness, bliss that I have forgotten. And I am looking for it everywhere outside. So then what happened? He goes into Mauna. He goes into peace. But this peace is short lived. Why? Because he stopped looking. He's not looking for the 11th man anymore. But that experience, if you're able to be in that experience is a sense of fullness. There's no more lacking. Initially, there's a lacking. The one person is lacking. That lacking is vanishes in a second, just because somebody has showed you that what does the gurus do? Guru does the same thing. He said, he says, Tat Tvamasi, you are that. If when the Guru says Tatvamasi, it is the same effect. Where this wise man knocked the head of the 10th man and said, Hey, you are the 10th man. Guru also says the same thing. You are what you're looking for. And once you understand you are that Sachidananda Atman, you are fearless and free and whole and complete. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana sir. It was wonderful. Thank you. May I request Vaibhavji and Pratnama to do the chanting of Ashtotram. Namo Ramana Vaibhavji, Namo Ramana Pratnama.
नमो रमण भारद्वाज विश्वनाथ विरचितम् श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तर शतनामावलिः अपार सच्चित् सुखवारिराशे यस्योर्मिमात्रम् भुवनं समस्तम् गुहाहितं तं रमणं गभीरं चिन्ताविहीनं हृदि चिन्तयामि ॐ महासेन महंसेन जाताय नमः ॐ श्रीरमणाय नमः ॐ गुरवे नमः ॐ अखण्डसंविदाकाराय नमः ॐ महौजसे नमः ॐ कारणोद्भवाय नमः ॐ जगद्धितावताराय नमः ॐ श्रीभूमिनाथस्थलोस्थिताय नमः ॐ पराशरकुलोत्तंसाय नमः ॐ सुन्दरार्यतपःफलाय नमः ॐ कमनीयसुचारित्राय नमः ॐ सहायाम्बा सहायवते नमः ॐ शोणाचलमहोलीनमानसाय नमः ॐ स्वर्णहस्तकाय नमः ॐ श्रीमद्द्वादशान्तमहास्थले लब्धविद्योदयाय नमः ॐ महाशक्तिनिपातेन प्रबुद्धाय नमः ॐ परमार्थविदे नमः ॐ तीव्राय नमः ॐ पितृपदान्वेषिणे नमः ॐ इन्दुमौलिना पितृमते नमः ॐ पितुरादेशतः शोणशैलं प्राप्ताय नमः ॐ तपोमयाय नमः ॐ उदासीनाय नमः ॐ महायोगिने नमः ॐ महोत्साहाय नमः ॐ कुशाग्रदिये नमः ॐ शान्तसङ्कल्पसंरम्भाय नमः ॐ सुसन्दृशे नमः ॐ सवित्रे नमः ॐ स्थिराय नमः ॐ तपक्षपितसर्वाङ्गाय नमः ॐ फुल्लाम्बुजविलोचनाय नमः ॐ चन्द्रिकासितहासश्रीमण्डिताननमण्डलाय नमः ॐ चूतवाट्यां समासीनाय नमः ॐ चूर्णिताखिलविभ्रमाय नमः ॐ वेदवेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञाय नमः ॐ चिन्मुद्रिणे नमः ॐ त्रिगुणातिगाय नमः ॐ विरूपाक्षगुहावासाय नमः ॐ विराजदचलाकृतये नमः ॐ उद्दीप्तनयनाय नमः ॐ पूर्णाय नमः ॐ रचिताचलताण्डवाय नमः ॐ गम्भीराय नमः ॐ परमाचार्याय नमः ॐ सुप्रसन्नाय नमः ॐ अभयप्रदाय नमः ॐ दक्षिणास्यनिधाय नमः ॐ धीराय नमः ॐ दक्षिणाभिमुखाय नमः ॐ स्वराजे नमः ॐ महर्षये नमः ॐ भगवते नमः ॐ ईड्याय नमः ॐ भूमविद्याविशारदाय नमः ॐ विमलाय नमः ॐ दीर्घदर्शिने नमः ॐ आप्ताय नमः ॐ ऋजुमार्गप्रदर्शकाय नमः ॐ समदृशे नमः। ॐ सत्यदृशे नमः। ॐ सत्याय नमः। ॐ प्रशान्ताय नमः। ॐ अमितविक्रमाय नमः। ॐ सुकुमाराय नमः। ॐ सदानन्दाय नमः। ॐ मृदुभाषिणे नमः। ॐ दयार्णवाय नमः। ॐ श्रीशोणाचलहृद्बोधस्कन्दाश्रमनिकेतनाय नमः। ॐ सद्दर्शनोपदेष्ट्रे नमः। ॐ सद्भक्तवृन्दपरिवृताय नमः। ॐ गणेशमुनिभृङ्गेन सेविताङ्घ्रिसरोरुहाय नमः। ॐ गीतोपदेशसारादिग्रन्थसञ्चिन्न संशयाय नमः। ॐ वर्णाश्रममतातीताय नमः। ॐ रसज्ञाय नमः। ॐ सौम्याय नमः। ॐ आत्मवते नमः। ॐ सर्वावनिमतस्थानाम् आराध्याय नमः। ॐ सर्वसद्गुणिने नमः। ॐ आत्मारामाय नमः। ॐ महाभागाय नमः। ॐ मातृमुक्तिविधायकाय नमः। ॐ विनताय नमः। ॐ विनुताय नमः। ॐ विप्राय नमः। ॐ मुनीन्द्राय नमः। ॐ पावकोज्ज्वलाय नमः। ॐ दर्शनादकसंहारिणे नमः। ॐ मौनेन स्वात्मबोधकाय नमः। ॐ ऋचान्तिकरसानिध्याय नमः। ॐ स्मरणाद्बन्धमोचकाय नमः। ॐ अन्तस्तिमिरचण्डांशवे नमः। ॐ संसारार्णवतारकाय नमः। ॐ शोणादृशस्तुतिद्रष्टे नमः। ॐ हार्दविद्याप्रकाशकाय नमः। ॐ अविच्युतनिजप्रज्ञाय नमः। ॐ नैसर्गिकमहातपसे नमः। ॐ कमण्डलुधराय नमः। ॐ शुभ्रकौपीनवसनाय नमः। ॐ गुहाय नमः। ॐ दण्डपाणये नमः। ॐ कृपापूर्णाय नमः। ॐ भवरोगभिषग्वराय नमः। ॐ स्कन्दाय नमः। ॐ देवतमाय नमः। ॐ अमर्त्याय नमः। ॐ सेनान्ये नमः। ॐ पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः। ॐ श्रीरमण भगवते नमः। श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तरशतनाम पूजां समर्पयामि। यस्थानोररुणाचलस्य पदयोः स्मृत्या जनिं प्राप्यत दिव्यानुग्रह सुप्रवाह विवशः सादात्म्यभावङ्गतः ऋन्निष्ठस्वगभीरनित्यतपसा लोकान्तरासेकराट् तस्मै श्रीरमणाय ते नम इदं लोकोत्तरज्योतिषे। ॐ नमो भगवते श्रीरमणाय।
नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि दर्शन सुख मंगल मुख सकल जीवहित सम्मुख ब्रह्म संगिये नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि सदा तुष्ट सदा हृष्ट सदा शिवानंद पुष्ट परम महर्षि ब्रह्मनिष्ठ समदर्शि नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि ನಮ್ಮ ಮನವದೊಂದು ಕಾಡು ನೀನರಿತಿಹೆ ಅದರ ಜಾಡು ಹಿತವನರಿತು ನೀಡುತೆಮ್ಮ ಕೊರೆಯ ತಣಿಸಲೈ ಬೇಡಲೆಂದು ಬಂದ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿಯೇ ತಣಿವೆವಯ್ಯ ಮೋಡಿಗಾರನೇ ಹಿತವ ನುಡಿದು ಪೊರೆ ನಮ್ಮನು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಸಂಗಿಯೇ ನಮೋ 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 ರಮಣ ಸದಾಶಿವ ಪ್ರಭಾವರಣ ನಮೋ ಮಹರ್ಷಿ नमो महर्षि। बोलो भगवान श्री रमण महर्षि की जय
जय।
नमो रमण अक्क ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮೋ ರಮಣ।
नमो रमण।
नमो रमण अक्क
नमो रमण।
नमो रमण।